If you've had your fill of the beach this summer, but you want to do one last summer getaway, there's an art oasis in Wisconsin you may not know about. Eau Claire has a sculpture tour with more than 150 pieces of public art, and it's free. There are also murals and studios to check out while you're there as well. Benny Anderson is the executive director of Visit Eau Claire. He joins Lake Effect's Becky Mortensen along with Amanda Weibel from Travel Wisconsin to talk about what you could do and see on a trip to Eau Claire.
So this month we're heading to Eau Claire, which I learned is known as the indie capital of the Midwest and is a destination for any art enthusiast. So to start, Benny, how would you describe the art scene in Eau Claire?
Not only is it incredibly vibrant, it is rapidly growing. We're the nation's largest rotating sculpture tour after adding 100 plus sculptures in the last 2 years. We've put in double-digit murals every year in the last couple of years since COVID, and we continue to find more and more opportunities to grow our public art scene, but then also have these amazing amenities like Pablo Center and a bunch of different acting groups that have put on incredible performances at Pablo Center. It just continues to find ways to kind of bust at the seams.
Yeah, what is the Eau Claire sculpture tour and how can people take it in?
It's a 100% free sculpture tour that runs, it starts downtown, but it is expanded so much that it actually runs on one continuous tour across two different cities. So if you started in historic Carson Park with the shark and Viking boat sculptures, you could walk about 10 miles of different routes with sculptures at about two per block density, all the way up into River Prairie Park in Altoona. There's about 150 plus sculptures on the continuous tour itself, but another probably 40 or 50 sculptures in different park installments throughout the area. So it's a nice walking tour. A lot of them follow our bike trails. You can drive good chunks of them if you want to do that in the winter or see as many as possible in one day. But all 100% free to the user, and a great mix of different art types. We've got everything from chainsaw sculptures on there to scrap metal to the really expensive bronze fine art pieces to even a couple that were made from recycled tires this year.
Interesting. People have the opportunity to vote for their favorite installations and even purchase the pieces. How does that work?
There's an online voting through our website where you can go through and place your vote for People's Choice. When the winner of the People's Choice is chosen, we purchase it as the sculpture tour and we put it on the tour permanently. There's about 10 of those pieces that have been purchased already, and artist is paid in full for that, and we get to keep another piece of amazing art that our community loves. You can also purchase pieces for yourself, and when you do so, it's actually a commission that goes to the sculpture tour to help support their efforts as a nonprofit. And if you keep it on the sculpture tour for a little bit longer, we'll typically give you a discount. But all those pieces are for sale, and we've had a lot of people that use it almost like their little walking shopping catalog mall for art in the area.
And the sculptures aren't the only art you can enjoy in Eau Claire. Benny, you mentioned there are also dozens of murals in the area. So what can people expect to see?
Oh, there's such a wide variety of them. We have a project called Color Block that we do as the sculpture tour, where we give emerging artists a wall that we work with a building to procure. And then we provide their materials, we pay them, and we provide even some educational services for how to do murals a little bit better for those of them that are just starting out. We typically put them in bunches, so there'll be either 6x8 murals or, that 5x7 kind of range, and we'll put 10 of them or so on a building, and so you can see one big chunk of art at a time. We've done 20 of those this year and 20 last year. So in the last 2 years, there's already 40 new murals on top of the dozens that were already in town. But then we have a large variety of not color block murals, which are typically the large scale ones or the a little bit more established muralists coming in. And there's some incredible ones.
Cool. And with a thriving art scene comes galleries and studios to visit. So what can you tell me about those?
We're incredibly lucky to have a wide variety of studios. And they're typically bunches of artists that have formed collectives. So we've got Banbury Place, which has dozens of artists that are working in their own little studios and then put on events together like the Banbury Art Crawl, where you can come through and basically walk through a giant art fair. We've also got Artisan Forge Studios, which is rebranding right now to be the 1106, which has dozens of art studios in there, as well as a gallery piece and some events planning, and a chocolate shop, which is amazing, where you can try all kinds of artisan chocolates. And then, 200 Main and Two Roots and a B-frame gallery. There's all these different galleries that as you wander through our downtown and our shopping areas, you can find just not only a wide variety of art, but a very unique approach to art in many of the different galleries. Some of them are jewelry pieces of art. Some of them are blown glass pieces. There's a little bit of everything for everyone in our town for art.
And Amanda, there's more to do and see than art in Eau Claire. It is home to the Chippewa Valley Museum. So what can people expect to see on a visit there?
Well, Becky, every corner of Wisconsin has its own story, and the Chippewa Valley Museum does such a great job of telling Eau Claire's story in a really engaging and authentic way. You can learn about the people who have lived in the Chippewa Valley, from the original Ojibwe inhabitants and their connection to the land, to European settlers and Hmong immigrants. The museum also explores the valley's economic and cultural evolution over the centuries and the changing landscape of family farms in the area. And the museum operates multiple sites. You can also purchase tickets to the seasonal Wisconsin Logging Museum, which is right next door, to dig deeper into that logging heritage.
What else could people do while visiting the Eau Claire area?
There is so much happening in Eau Claire, and one of the best ways to experience it all is on their phenomenal trail network. So Benny mentioned that that's a way that you can experience many of the sculptures. But if you want to get around a little quicker, you can head over to the local store and you can actually rent some e-bikes or electric scooters so that you can see more of the trail. It's a really convenient option, and make more stops. You'll also want to sign up for the Eau Claire Curd Crawl or Eau Claire Brew Pass. These are mobile passports where you can earn prizes for visiting the different businesses serving up fantastic brews and curds throughout the city. And then with fall quickly approaching, you might want to add an apple orchard to your itinerary. There are some really unique options in the Eau Claire area. The glass orchard is one that I found really unexpected. They grow 11 different varieties of apples, but they also operate a glass blowing studio and retail store. So those connections to the arts are everywhere you go in Eau Claire. And then another great option is Leffel Roots Apple Orchard. This one is great if you have anyone in your travel party with accessibility needs. The orchard actually created a raised deck to surround some specially pruned trees to make it easier for wheelchair users and folks with mobility difficulties to pick fresh apples, which I think is so cool.
It's really hard to believe that apple picking season is just around the corner. Where would you recommend people grab a meal or a drink?
Yeah, so I mentioned those passport options, which are a great place to start. You'll find a ton of great choices, but there are so many more to explore too. Reboot Social is a fun option. They have a really playful menu. They have these classic dishes and drinks with a twist, like an elevated PB&J sandwich. And you'll stay busy there for hours. They have a ton of classic arcade games, pinball machines, billiards, and other entertainment like duck pin bowling. That's a variation on classic bowling where the lanes are shorter, the pins are stockier, the balls are a little lighter. So it's challenging, but it's fun for folks of all ages and skill levels, in addition to that great food. Another terrific dining option is Valley Burger Company. They promise food that is local, handmade, and delicious, and they certainly live up to that reputation with each and every dish that they serve. They have a small but carefully crafted menu that features burgers, and I am guessing you are going to find your new favorite when you visit there.
And what about some places people could stay on a trip to Eau Claire?
Well, we've been talking about how much this community loves the arts, so you will certainly be immersed in all of that if you stay at the Oxbow Hotel. It's a boutique hotel that has locally produced artwork that lines the common areas. You'll also hear fantastic local musicians playing in the courtyard, which connects the two historic buildings that make up the Oxbow. And I was astounded by how deep their commitment to local extends in the design of the rooms as well. They actually have handcrafted wood furniture that was made from trees that once grew in Eau Claire. So many connections to the area. Each room is also equipped with a record player, so you can check out the vinyl collection in the lobby and set the soundtrack for your Eau Claire getaway.
Could each of you share your favorite piece of public art that people can check out in Eau Claire?
Man, that is such a hard question. For sculpture, I think my favorite piece right now, it's a pretty tough tie between three pieces. One from the chainsaw exhibit that we just got done, which was at the museum. We have 12 different chainsaw carvers that come through and carve these pieces from these 10-foot logs over 4 days. And there was one that was made by a Japanese sculptor named Takao Hadashi, which we're actually putting on the sculpture tour. And it's a monkey who is trying to be picked up into the air by a vulture balancing on the jaws of a crocodile. And his speech about why he created that was about never giving up. And I just thought that was such an incredible message, after everything that our tourism partners had gone through in COVID and in growing this city. And it's also a very cute piece with, a very cute monkey. Otherwise, the giant shark on the sculpture tour is amazing. But some of our color block ones have been incredibly cool this year. But I have young children, and there is a mural that is on Banbury Place's walls of a young girl being taught to tie her shoes by her father. And I think I almost tear up every time I drive by it as I'm getting ready to drop my kids off for school, and knowing that her father came to help her paint that mural every day was just a really cool story.
Oh, I love that. And Amanda?
Well, I agree that this is a really, really tough question. It is so hard to just pick a favorite. And one of the things I love about the Eau Claire Sculpture Tour is that they rotate new artwork in every year. So you might have a favorite, but there's still a reason to come back. It's fresh and exciting. Whenever you visit, you're going to find new artwork to enjoy. Benny mentioned all of the great murals. So I actually grew up near Eau Claire and have some connections to some of the artists who have gotten to participate in that mural program. And so Nash the Astro Giraffe is one that is a favorite of mine that I always like to go visit, or if I'm bringing new people to Eau Claire, make sure that it's something that we stop and see. But there is just something for everyone. I'm always finding something new that I add to my list. And no matter what your taste is, you're going to find something to enjoy and explore further.
Amanda and Benny, thank you for joining me for Wandering Wisconsin.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Amanda Weibel is the Communications Officer for Travel Wisconsin. Benny Anderson is the Executive Director of Visit Eau Claire. They spoke with Lake Effect's Becky Mortensen for our monthly series called Wandering Wisconsin, where we help you plan a trip right here in our home state. You can find other Wandering Wisconsin segments at wuwm.com, and you can also get it as a podcast.